So now we're at the last line of the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples to pray. There is a doxology that's added at the end of some of the later translations, but this is the last line that we know Jesus taught in his prayer. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Some translations say from evil. These are really two different prayers. Lead us not into temptation. That's confusing. Wait, I didn't think God tempted us. What are we praying when we say this? God doesn't tempt us, but when we say lead us not into temptation, we are saying, God, please help us avoid the obstacles that get us to fall into temptation. So you have to join God in this prayer. I think a great example of this is 2 Samuel 11, the story of David and Bathsheba. You know, the story begins with David staying home when his soldiers were at war. So right away, he's where he shouldn't be. And then he's listless and bored because he's not out fighting. And he's pacing on his balcony, which is, of course, higher than every other house in the land. And so he gazes down off his balcony and he sees a woman bathing on her roof, which is where women bathed in that time. And so he could have not looked. He could have not been pacing. He could have been at war, but all of those decisions were decisions he made before he fell into temptation. So that by the time he asked who Bathsheba was and found out she was married, he was full steam ahead. And I believe that he regretted that night. When we say lead us not into temptation, we're saying, God, I'm willing to join you in helping myself not fall into temptation. I always say that if you're on a diet, the worst place to be is standing in front of a bakery window, smelling all the smells with your nose pressed up against the window. You can help yourself in temptation, and it just gets harder with each decision that you make. Walk somewhere else, distract yourself, go do something. You know what your temptation is, and when you're asking God to not lead you into temptation, you're willing to take those steps to not lead yourself into temptation. But deliver us from evil, that's a different prayer. That's beyond what you can do. That's calling on God's power against the evil one, the devil. And we don't really talk about the devil in this culture, but I think there's two ways we can view the devil. One is imagining that the devil is in everything. He's controlling all your actions. He's behind everything bad that happens. And he is behind a lot of those things, but some of those things are us. But the other way that we can treat the devil is to not acknowledge that he exists. And then he wins. Because if we're not even aware that he's at work in the world, he has that much more power. We know there's evil in the world. Evil overtakes individuals. Evil overtakes companies. Evil overtakes countries. Evil has a ripple effect. And evil is bigger than us. But God is more powerful. That's what this line of the prayer is acknowledging. Deliver us from the evil one. God, you are more powerful than the devil. So this is two prayers. Lead us not into temptation. That's the prayer that you join God and you help make that happen, and deliver us from evil. That's saying, God, this is bigger than me, and I need you to handle this because I know that you are more powerful. That's what this line of the prayer is about.